Welcome back. This is the Hip Hop Seattle podcast. We're on episode 35. It's your boy Cal Nadi.
Boy, Mr. High Def, Henry Hunter K.
We got a legend today.
We got a serious special guest today. Grammy nominated, Grammy winner, legend of the town, production everywhere, widely known, world renowned. He's been doing this thing for quite a long time, couple decades. Jake One, man.
Round of
How you doing, bro?
please.
I'm great, man. I'm great.
Yes, sir, man. You've been a busy man for as long as I could think. I've heard your name a long ass time ago, and I still hear your name to this day. So it's an honor for you to be here first and foremost.
Thanks for having me.
You feel me? How you been though? How's Thanksgiving and all that?
It's great, man. You know, it's just time to spend with the family and get fat. You know, that's what we do.
What's
That's
better
what's
than
up.
that?
Yeah.
Man, straight up, man. What you been up to lately though, bro?
My group's been touring a lot, so I just got back from Asia tour like 2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Tuxedo, right?
Yeah, Tuxedo. So we've been doing that this year. Put out a new album and just a lot of traveling with that. A lot of shows.
Damn. How many times have you been to Asia? Hella times?
Yeah,
What's
at least 10. I don't
At
even
least
know.
10
Yeah.
times. Okay.
Yeah.
What's your
That's
favorite
dope.
thing about going overseas?
I love Tokyo. Tokyo
Tokyo?
is just my favorite city anywhere. So
Okay.
whatever you're into, they just gonna have the coolest version of it.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So like, I just love going there. I mean, beyond that they love us and stuff, that's great too. But it's
Food?
just
Loving the food too?
I will fuck some sushi up. Yeah.
You a ramen guy too?
Oh yeah. Of
Ramen
course,
and all
of
that?
course.
Okay, that's what's up. You got some spots out here in the town that you might go to?
Yeah.
A couple
yeah.
spots? Okay,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
what's up, man. So back on tour and everything. So you dropped the Tuxedo 3. Explain the whole idea behind Tuxedo for people that don't know.
Man, Tuxedo came about, I don't know, maybe 2011, 12. I was doing all this hip hop stuff and I just would make other kind of music just fucking around because it was just a break from that.
Yeah.
And Mayor Hawthorne just happened to be a dude I was friends with. And he started singing. He wasn't a singer when we met. We were both just DJ producer guys.
Interesting.
And I gave him some beats and he cooked some of them records up. And it just kind of just took off. Like,
Do you remember what the first song that you guys kind of put
the
together?
first song we ever made was this one called Lost Lover, which is actually the first song on the
Lost
first
Lover, yeah.
first album. So we did that, I want to say in like 2009,
Wow.
2010.
So one of those ideas that kind of just marinated in there.
Yeah, and you know, his shit blew up. So it just wasn't time to do it for a minute, but we were kind of, you know, we get together every once in a while. He'd come to Seattle. I go to wherever he was. We did a lot of the first album like at the OK Hotel.
Oh, damn. Okay.
When we had a studio in there, and it was it was fun times. But yeah, it's crazy that like we have 3 albums. I didn't. It wasn't necessarily a plan like we're gonna be a group and do
Of
this.
course.
Yeah.
You know, so it kind of happened organically.
Is the process a lot different than making a hip hop record when you guys started?
I mean, you know, the funny thing is I don't put nearly as much time into making. As far as I don't make as much of that as I do of hip hop.
Okay.
So when I do it, it's just kind of fun. We get together and do it. It's like, you know, vacation or something to me.
A little more creative.
Yeah.
creativity.
It's just that we just always approached it with no pressure because it was just kind of an extra thing. I've been doing hip hop for so long. I'm a lot more a harsh critic on what I'm doing. You know what I mean? Because it's like you're always trying to outdo what you've done in the past, and I've been doing it so fucking long. You
Yeah.
know?
So speaking of that, like, what was the initial reception when you first made this kind of? Because it's obviously different, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So how are your people feeling about it? When
Man,
they first heard
you know, I knew we had some because everybody wanted it.
Really?
And everybody doesn't want everything I'm doing. Like, you know, my friends would come over and I play them something or, you know. I remember I was with Vitamin one day. It's probably 2011.
Okay.
And I played him a couple of songs. He was like, "You didn't make that." He didn't believe I made it at first. So,
Wow.
I mean, yeah, he was surprised.
That's a
dope.
great.
And then he wanted it. So I knew it had something.
For people tuning in for the very first time, and we got Jake One here. Bring us back though. So like, how did you fall in love with hip hop? Like, but maybe even before even getting into it, like actually creating it. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just lucky. I'm like one of those kids that's first generation hip hop. Like that was the thing when I was a little kid. Hip hop first happened.
damn, that's wild.
So when I was a little kid in the valley, and you know where I grew up, that was the music that was playing, and it was like, you know, the music for the kids. So we really latched onto that shit hard. I mean, it's
Yeah.
like, you know, hip hop probably has been running culture for 25, 30 years. I still don't think it's like just the rareness of it, like in the early 80s or like when Run DMC first came out, and how you just felt special to have it because it wasn't everywhere.
Yeah, it's more exclusive.
Yeah, like, and just the breakdance wave, all this stuff. We were so serious about it. You know what I mean? Like, it was like you either did that or we didn't fuck with you.
Damn. Okay.
And that was how I went to Stevens. All my friends at Stevens are like that. When I got to Meany, it was the same thing.
Were people making fun of y'all for liking hip hop though in the time?
Not really. That was just what everybody in our
thing.
area was doing. But I'm sure if you went further out, you know, probably wasn't like that. There used to, and it's funny. I told this to somebody else recently, a youngster. There used to be like, you know, you like just were identified as like a b-boy or a rocker or a breaker. Well, breaker, b-boy, same thing. Or a waver. You remember the wavers top?
Waivers. Explain that. What is
like,
that?
New wave kind of dudes. They would have
okay.
like the funny like flock of seagulls hair and shit.
Okay.
And there would be actual fights. There would be like a full ass 20-person fight over this kind of shit back then. Yeah.
Like that. Do you remember who your first like favorite rapper was?
My first favorite rapper was probably Melly Mel. From Furious 5. Yeah. Like I got the It's Nasty 12-inch when I was probably like 6 or 7.
Okay.
Damn,
And yeah.
Was anybody putting you on to like certain artists?
Yeah, it was just
like,
people in my neighborhood, man. There's a family that still lives across the street from me, and there was a dude named Eric who was like an early DJ.
Okay.
And he would put the speaker outside and just blast that shit all day. So I was a little kid outside, and I was just soaking it up. You know?
So how'd you feel about hip hop? Like once like the '90s started coming around, where there was a shift there, especially with Rakim kind of switching the style and shit, and kind of showing rappers a whole new type of like how you could rap, you know. So once NWA started coming out, like how did you start it? Like what were your like favorite rappers during that time?
Oh
like,
man, I don't think when NWA came out, there was nothing fucking with that.
Really?
I mean, because you know we're like preteens, teenagers. And you get that rebellious shit talking nature. It just, man, we were all in on that.
So people were loving that. The general consensus at the time, people were loving it.
There was nobody that didn't like, because I want to say Boys in the Hood was the first one that dropped.
Shit.
There was nobody that didn't like that. When I went to Meany, that was, everybody knew the words of that.
Wow. That's a classic record right there.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Sure,
to this day.
Hell yeah. So like, what are your earliest influences as far as, now let's get into making music now. Who are your earliest influences as far as production goes?
You know, when I started realizing what actually production was and guys were actually making beats and stuff, it was definitely like Pete Rock and
Pete Rock,
Premier, Dr. Dre, Vitamin. Vitamin was the first guy I saw make a beat in front of me. So like, it just made it seem real and possible, you know?
Yeah.
So and I was like, my dad has records. I'm going to steal his jazz records. And then, I'm going to get a sampler. I'm going to fuck around with this.
How'd you figure out sampling?
Man, I just had an ear for it. Like,
really?
I think it was just something I loved so much that I just initially kind of took to it. Like, I had a neighbor on my street who was in tribal. His name's H-Bomb. So we would ride the 48 to Garfield every day. And, you know, he would have a tape and we would trade tapes. And then we were like, yeah, let's go buy records. Let's make beats.
Okay.
So we went and started buying records, stealing our parents' records. And he met Vitamin. That's how I even, like, you know, was aware of Vitamin.
So was he like, would you consider him like a mentor? Is there any people in the town that kind of like helped you out in this beginning stages?
I'd say my main two mentors was definitely Vitamin and Supreme. I met Supreme and he was significantly older. I say that now. It doesn't seem like it, but I was 17, 18, and he was like in his late 20s. Okay. And at that point, I used to think he was old. You know what I mean? He was probably like 26, but he had his own apartment. He was a grown man. I was a kid. You know what I mean? So.
Shout out Supreme, man.
Yeah, always. So, you know, he's the one that put me up on this is what you sample. This is where the records are, you know, all that stuff. So I would just hang out with him all day. We would go record shopping like every day.
Just soaking up game.
Yeah.
So you're pretty much were you a fast learner or something that you had to like acquire over time? Like how was that?
I think it took me a minute to get good at making beats. I was kind of all right. And I think something just clicked eventually, you know, like I found my own way of doing it. In the early 2000s. So, I mean, I've probably been making beats 5-6 years and I still wasn't really good.
So you started making beats in the early 2000s, you said?
No, like probably 94.
94 is when you started making beats.
94.
Okay, now when did you start putting records out where people were hopping on these records and it started getting some traction?
First songs I ever did was on Supreme's label called Conception. And that was 98. Does that sound right?
98. Okay.
And one of those kind of took off. So like I really didn't know what I was doing. I was really just like very new at it. But
How did it feel though? Something that you created.
It was crazy to like get a record and like, oh, I could scratch my own record.
Your own record.
That was like the thing back then.
That must
like,
have been really
I
cool.
got something on record.
Man. So then you come back around in 2003. You get on the G Unit, Beg for Mercy album.
Right.
How did that come about? Because he was red hot at that time. You feel me? How did that come about?
There was a dude that I was friends with that was just on tour with them, and he had beats and he gave them to him, and they just rapped on one.
Are you serious?
It was really just like that, and at that time, I wouldn't even say I was a big 50 fan. I didn't love the first album like that.
Okay. How does it work with like Interscope then? Like, so he just rapped on the beat, and then what happened after that?
He rapped on the beat. They reached out to me. And they were like, "Is this a sample?" All these different things. They wanted me to send the. I guess it was Pro Tools by then. I had to separate the beat out with the sounds.
Okay.
And then it came out, and I went and bought it. And I was like, "Oh, my name is actually on here," because I was thinking, "Oh, they're gonna fuck me with my name."
So during the time though, they weren't in, like, you didn't know anything that was going on during that time. They just
Hell,
dropped the
I had
album.
never heard the song until that day.
Wow.
I was at work. I went on my break. I went to I don't know if it was Sam Goody or Musicland on Pine. I bought it. Put it in the CD Discman, listened to it. It was like, oh yeah, it is my beat. And then my name was on there. I was like, oh, cool.
That's amazing, bro.
Right.
So after I feel like after that, things started to elevate. You know what I mean? 2004, Gift to Gab, and then 2005 with the John Cena placement. What was
that? 2005?
Yeah, it was 2005, man.
So,
and that was a platinum album that he put out, which is crazy as hell.
I need
That's
my
first
plaque.
track.
Can I get my plaque?
They never get it.
Nah.
What?
Nah.
That's a travesty, man. It's track number 1 on the joint, and that's the most notable shit for. He was rocking. I think he's still using that theme today. Is he still using that theme today?
It's still going, man.
Damn. Do you ever get sick of hearing your beats?
That one I get sick of because I don't make any money on it, so I'm kind of like, fuck that song. You know what I mean?
Damn. Were you dealing directly with Vince McMahon, or is these other people around?
I mean, it was. I had a manager at the time that met him at a radio station, gave him some beats, and he just liked them. He recorded. I think he paid me for like 6 beats. I had like a personal check from him.
Okay. Damn. And you were happy with that at the time? You're cool with that?
Well, shit, he paid me more money. I made it my job in like dope. 2 years or something. So like I couldn't.
That's what's up.
But it was also like he told me like Vince McMahon, he's not giving up shit. He was like he really
wants the whole ownership.
Take this or you don't do it.
Yeah.
And I just thought like, I should probably just take the money.
Take the money and dip with it. Okay.
Different time, I didn't really have. I was very young in the game, so.
Dope. So what times were you starting to get, like, what year did you get your first Grammy nomination? And what song was that?
I think the first year I got nominated was 2012 or 13.
Okay.
And I co-produced a song on this group called Fun. They had that song, We Are Young, that was really big.
Oh, yeah.
So I did a song on that album. And I think the Drake album came out the same year in that. Yeah. Or maybe it was Ross.
So you did the Furthest Thing record, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And I think you had a video back in the day of you like explaining that. And I watched it. I thought that was crazy as hell. Because didn't you do like some of it on analog or something like that? You wanted
all my shit was analog back then, for sure, yeah.
You still do analog?
Yeah.
Did they give you a plaque for that one?
Still haven't got the plaque.
What the fuck is the RIAA doing, man? What the fuck y'all doing, dog?
Like sometimes the artist will send you one, and most of the time they won't. So, I mean...
Okay.
I was looking this up because somebody was like, "Man, you got to get your plaques. You're tripping." Because I was making fun of a friend of mine who had bought like 20 plaques. I'm like, man, I don't want to give them all that money. Like,
yeah. Is it expensive? How much is it to get your plaque?
Man, there's a plaque for this DJ Khaled song I did with Hove and Future, and that shit is like $1,000.
With the Maybach joint?
The what is it called? I Got the Keys.
I Got the Keys. That's you?
Yeah. I did.
Come on,
you're out of here, man.
But like,
see, I know.
Do I want to pay $1,000 for like an ode to DJ Khaled? I don't know. Like, do I want to do that? Like,
that was a pretty hard joint. I mean, Jay-Z gave a fucking pretty good verse on that. And you did the joint also with the Rick Ross and Dr. Dre.
Yeah, Three Kings.
So who reached out to you for that one? Is that another manager deal? Or
that was a Dr. Dre song. So I was working with him from probably 2010 to 13 or 14. I did a lot of songs for him.
Did you think any of that shit was going to come out? Did you even think that song would come out then? Because Dr. Dre's notorious for that.
No.
Wow.
And really, the way things would happen with him is like you would get lucky if he would let somebody else take the song and put it on their album.
I see.
But that was just initially a Dre and Ross song, and I hadn't even heard it for a long time. But people would tell me, "Oh man, you got this song with Dre. It's great." Blah blah blah.
Did you like it when you heard it? The final version?
I did. I was.
You liked it?
I actually heard it when I was in New York and it dropped. So it was crazy just
wow.
hearing it play from like every radio.
And being in New York too.
Yeah,
That's
Funk
wild.
Flex is dropping the bombs, and it might have played for like 45 minutes straight or something.
Holy shit,
Something
man.
stupid.
There we go.
Yeah.
So you have like, what do you think like over the years, like some of your favorite moments in your career that like, you know, I don't know, maybe if it like brought you back to like feeling like, man, I remember I used to dream about this shit.
Right.
Like, what are those moments for you?
I don't even, man, honestly, I don't know because I'm so focused on the next thing. I still feel like I haven't done shit, which is crazy.
Wow.
But
Wow.
like in my mind, I'm worried about what's coming next.
Yeah.
And I think once you start hitting with things, you're so much more concerned about that. You don't have time to rest on like,
That's very true.
you know, I can't, I could, it's funny. People at me probably once a week. There's an album that came out that has some sort of anniversary that I worked on because I've been on so many at this point.
Wow, man.
And some of them, like, oh, that's cool. Oh, I didn't get all my money on that one. Fuck that up.
I hear that.
It just depends on, you know.
I
Like,
feel that.
Like, there's, unfortunately, the longer you do this and the more you get ingrained in the music business, some of this other shit colors what you think about songs and people and, you know. So that's why I like being here because I'm just kind of, I stay away from it. You know?
Yeah.
I mean?
Yeah.
I just do my shit and let it be.
Did you ever get in the heat of that into the music industry? Do you ever feel like it chewed you up at some point? Are you getting consumed in it? Like, what was that like once you started?
I had a 6-month stint as an A&R for Atlantic, which was pretty entertaining.
Right, man. Wow.
Yeah.
How? Okay. Was that?
I just
how was
wanted
that
to see.
experience?
I just wanted to see what really happens in the room,
Yeah.
and it was crazy interesting, man. I'm not gonna lie.
Is the perception all messed up then? Since you
No,
actually were
hell
behind
no.
that, or is that really?
It's even more ridiculous than you think.
Wow. Okay.
There are just. I mean, it's really like it's a room of guys that study numbers, and some guys might have their ear to the street, but it's a little of everything, and it's just a lot. You know, it's a lot of dishonest bullshit. You know what I mean? That's just the nature of a record company.
How much of it is actually about the music, like the artist being really talented?
I think that's still the root of all of it.
It is.
And if you don't have that, it's probably not gonna set the spark off. You know.
Right.
So
And
at no
now
point,
even more, like they can't just make something big if they want to. There's plenty of people
that's
who get
true.
signed
it's very true.
that they drop and nothing happens.
They fizzle out. Yeah.
Now what they can do is take something that is going and make that shit go.
So
crazy.
industry plan that exists. Is that real?
Well,
Industry
I mean,
plans?
a bunch of people are just signed already,
Okay.
and they just don't announce it.
Mm-hmm.
I
like-
heard about that one
Which
before
is
too.
that's pretty standard, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Like
So they'll just hold the artist and have them kind of doing their thing and give them the illusion to kind of
Right,
get more
right.
support. Like,
Yeah,
oh, you don't have a
yeah.
machine behind you yet, so
Right.
oh, yeah, okay.
because that, you know, there was definitely a period where people were like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm independent, you know, and
Yeah.
I'm doing this all myself, which they really weren't.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Okay. Are you currently independent right now?
I mean, I'm signed to Warner Chappell as a writer, but you know, I'm my own manager. I do everything myself.
Okay, so it stays in the ball. Okay.
I have a lawyer, and you know, I've done this long enough that I know.
Mm-hmm.
I pretty much know what any situation is, and like all the artists, they usually come to me, you know, so where I have the relationships already.
Yeah.
You know.
So you've been working. I know recently you started working with Paris Alexa.
Yeah, did a couple joints for her.
Okay, how did that come about? And how's the energy with working with an R&B artist? And she's definitely on the rises out here in the town too. People are definitely.
I think I met her maybe through Pender. I met her. She
Okay.
was maybe like 3 or 4 years ago. She's really young,
Mm-hmm.
but I just really thought she was good.
Mm-hmm. And she was singing then,
Mm-hmm.
and now
she just had it. You know,
Okay.
it's like you can't fake that. You
That's
know what
true.
I mean? She could put a mic in
She
front
really
of her.
sing.
She will
Really
come up
do
with
it.
a good song,
Mm-hmm.
and it doesn't take much.
That's really awesome.
That was
Like,
man.
and there's not many people I could say that about. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Mhm.
I've seen a lot of them come and go.
That's
So-
very true, man. So how do you look for artists to work with? How does artists get a hold of you? And like, what do you like? So as far as production and all that, like, how do you go about that nowadays? Because you've been in the game for quite a while.
Right.
I'm sure you don't want to do the same shit
Well,
over and
it's-
over.
You know, I kind of have like 2 phases of what I do because there's me just like co-producing, which has been like a whole nother career. I feel like and that's all the young shit I've been doing, the future songs. And,
Okay.
21 Savage,
21
and
Savage.
Playboy Cardi, stuff that like me doing a beat by myself not happening.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Right.
So like there's that, and then there's me doing my traditional, more, you know, old school hip hop stuff.
Mhm.
So you know, there's just certain people that want that from me.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, so like
Vintage sound.
J. Cole might hit me and be like, I need what you do.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't want me to send him beats that we're gonna get Future.
Makes sense.
Or like when Drake reached out, that's what he wanted.
That feeling.
That feeling. It definitely was there. Man. Do you have like this whole like every artist kind of goes into their mode? Like when you're about to make a beat, explain that to us. Like, what do you have to be in it? Is it be like a certain day? How do you feel when you're making these kind of records? Like, can anybody be in the house with you? Can anybody be in the room with you?
I don't usually like people around. Honestly.
Okay. Just by yourself.
Yeah. I mean, I work with musicians sometimes, so I'll do that. But yeah, in general, 95% of my beats have been made with just me in the room. And it's just trial and error. You just you plug away at it and then you catch one. I mean, I know if I do something that catches my ear, then that's all I'm really going for. That's all I've had this whole time.
Yeah.
Okay. I was asking a producer before also, like, do you hear lyrics in your head when you're making the beats? Do you either hear somebody's voice rapping over it, or are you saying stuff in your head?
Sometimes I will be like, oh, so and so would sound good on that, but I'm not really good at that part.
Okay.
I'm not gonna lie. When I think like, oh, I should give this to Wale, he never fucks with it. You know what I mean? Like,
okay, I see what you're saying.
I'm gonna give this to Rick Ross and he'll pick some whole other shit.
It's usually the way it is. The things that you don't think people will like too, also maybe they end up liking it too.
And there's there's some producers that they're gonna go in with that person and convince them to do it.
That's true.
And that's a whole different side of production. That's not really.
You're more about the art. You don't just do it for that. Like,
I just do shit to make me happy.
To make you happy.
Like that's how I got here. And the times when I don't do that, I just make something that's just mediocre. I feel like I wish I could tap in and be like, man, I'm gonna make a hit today. I'm gonna make this, this pop hit. It just doesn't work that way. The ones I've had that even touched that were just kind of like very different than like the standard sound of the time.
Okay. Yeah. So you had that record on the White Van Music. Was it the home record?
Yeah.
So that was how long ago? That was 10 years ago, I want to say now? Or how long?
Longer than that.
Longer than that. So everybody in that video is like, they've grown up and blown up.
There's like a lot of those guys are little.
They're
like youngsters.
I was like,
I didn't even know this until recently. Somebody was like, I don't remember who I ran into, and it's like, man, I was in your video. I was like, what? And I looked. I'm like, yeah, you were there. You were like
crazy.
16.
So what do you think about the state of the town like now? Given that that was the start, and everybody was little then. Now everybody has doing all different types of stuff. You know what I mean? Different lanes.
I think it's as strong as it's ever been. I mean, we're definitely getting more light than we've ever gotten. There's multiple people signed to major labels. That never happened.
That's crazy, man. Did you ever feel like there was a dark time in our scene?
I mean, I just thought like we felt kind of hopeless, I guess. At a time when you had to get signed to get out there. And it's not like there's better talent or worse talent now, but there's just more opportunities.
That's very true.
When you see something like the Lil Mosey thing is amazing to me. I mean, it's legitimately amazing. This kid, he didn't do all the things that everybody's like, you got to go do shows and
very unconventional.
He just did his shit and people liked it.
People liked it.
It's that simple. You know what I mean? That it reinforces that. Like if you got something unique, which I don't know if it's unique necessarily, but it was special.
Travis, is that the same situation too? Pretty much.
What's funny about Travis is I saw one of his videos early, and I was just like, man, this kid got it. Like
he got it. That's dope.
It was different. You know what I mean? Like maybe not on the music front, but just who he is and his personality. I believed in that.
So you think the it factor is still a thing? And
it's more important than anything.
And record companies see that still.
Because everybody, I think at this point, most people's music is about the same. It's kind of like personal preference. But if you have a good personality, you're good on Instagram and all this bullshit, that matters. You know what I mean? Like it really matters. And there's only so many people that are really standing out on the music front and just winning with just that.
Okay. I heard some advice from a producer once too for young producers coming in the game that are watching right now. Is it good to actually kind of work with a couple artists to figure out a sound, or is it cool to just make a bunch of different music and send it out and put it out in the atmosphere and whoever fucks with it? Or how do you how would you say a producer can sharpen their sword? But like, how do you get better?
I think for me, I went about it a real unconventional way because of we're talking about like a dark times or whatever, and there just didn't really seem to be a lot of opportunity locally. So I realized early on, like I got to get my beats in the hands of people that are gonna make me bigger. So I would travel and go give my beats to people, and I was never in the studio. I never Tuxedo's the first group I ever been in. You know what I mean? I produced a couple albums for people, but I never really just planted a flag like this is my artist. I'm doing this.
Okay.
So I just never did that. But what I did do is everything. So like any and everything, I didn't care. You know what I mean? I was like, it's work. Like when I did my part, that's what I felt in my heart.
Yeah.
And the rest of it, I'm on to the next. You know what I mean? So like, I have seen a lot of dudes. If you develop an artist, that's the most powerful thing because you control the situation.
That's powerful.
And when you develop an artist that makes hits, you're part of this package. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, seeing like how Wonder did it or 40 or, you know.
40, yeah.
Those guys,
That's very true.
I just saw something. Wonder's like the #1 producer the last 10 years, but it's like, look at his foundation. He got Drake.
He got
you know
Drake,
what I mean?
yeah.
That is so true, man. Wow.
Just Blaze had Hove. You know what I mean?
Blaze.
It's like he's got 30 Jay-Z songs. Like, you're not competing with that.
That's crazy, man. So what's next for you, bro?
I mean,
Because you're always on to the next. I know. But do you have any?
Right.
What you got your eyes set on something that you're trying to accomplish right now? Like what's set for people that are watching right now, especially Tuxedo fans? I'll grab the third one.
I mean, you know, hip hop wise, I've been kind of going back to more of what I was doing before, just because, just got tired of like everybody sounding the same. So I just started making even more underground sounding stuff.
That's cool.
And you know, still doing some of the more commercial things when it's the right thing. But
that's cool.
I mean, I'm just doing what I feel, man. Honestly, at this point, that's what got me here, and I'm gonna try to stick.
So you still got a love and passion for it. You still
depends on the day.
depends on the day. You have your days. Every dog has his day.
I definitely am not making like 100 beats a week or no shit like that. I do it when I feel it.
Yeah.
When the inspiration's there.
Yeah, when it's the right, you know.
That's good.
That's what's worked for me, so I try to keep it that way.
Okay. Who are you listening to right now? That's the last question, man. Who are you listening to right now? It doesn't have to be local. It could be anything. Right. What are you listening to?
I like this producer named Knowledge, who's from.
I think I've heard.
Think
Was
he's
Knowledge
from
was it an
Philly.
X? Is there an X in it?
Exactly.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
He produced the No Worries thing. I like it. I kind of like his take on like the old school stuff. It's a little different and weird, off kilter. I dig his shit.
Okay.
Artist wise, there haven't been a lot of albums that I love this year. I like
the
the Baby. I think he's hard. I want to
Baby's
do one
dope.
with him.
That'd be dope.
That'd be crazy.
That'd be real crazy.
I mean, you never know.
You just never know. That.
But I'm trying to think of who else. Laven Cali, who's a singer from LA. I like his stuff a lot. Anderson, obviously. He's probably had my favorite project of the year.
I mean, Anderson's crazy. He put out 2 this year, didn't he?
Yeah.
He put out 2 projects this year.
Second one, that's the one I really like a lot. Yeah. Ventura.
Yeah.
Right. Oh,
His
Benny
vocals.
the Butcher, he's really dope to me.
Oh, Griselda.
I've just started
on that
Griselda
traditional,
too.
like really rapping.
Yeah, the aggressive bar.
He's special. I don't know. There's something about
Do you
him.
like Griselda?
I do.
You check out that album?
Yeah, I like the new one.
You digging the production on that too? How you
Yeah,
feeling?
those are my
Okay.
guys that did that.
For sure.
Derringer came to the crib like, I don't know, a couple months ago.
Wow. Have you ever
Derringer was in the CD. He was there.
He was in the CD. That's wild.
Yeah.
Have you and Alchemist linked on some bigger records too?
We never really made that much music, but he's like just a good friend of mine. Like,
Okay.
If I'm in LA, I always go to his spot.
That's what's up.
He actually, you know, before I even met him, I remember he shouted me out in a magazine. I was like, damn, man, that's
Wow.
different. You know, producers are really haters. Like, especially if it's somebody that does something in the same vein as you. You never want to give it up to that person.
That's competition.
But
real
I feel
shit.
like he's always really approached it from from the love of the art. And
Yeah.
I think some of the things he'll say to me sometimes, I'm like, it'll really sink in. I'm like, damn, all right, I can't be as much of a beat hoe no more. I got to chill.
Okay.
And just seeing what he does, where like he'll do a whole project, like I definitely want to do some more of that.
Okay. You ever thought about getting behind the mic and dropping some bars on him?
Nah,
After all these years?
I think
Leaving that
at
one?
43 is not my time.
I hear that, man. Hey, man, we really appreciate you coming through, dropping knowledge, man. We're definitely gonna be checking out your project. When did Tuxedo come out? Was that
Tuxedo 3 was in July.
in July?
Yeah.
Okay, and
We
that's
actually
doing
have a
good.
show Monday, yeah.
Monday, okay, there we go, man.
We're
Check out
doing
the
a
show
I
Monday.
think it's like free. Makers Mark is putting it on at Numos.
Numos.
Oh, for
So
real?
you can like RSVP and you're on.
Are we there?
Are we there for sure? Then, man?
I was mad I didn't get a chance to go to the last one.
Right. That was
yeah.
that was a crazy night. That was fun.
Okay, man.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, we got Jake One on the podcast, man. Appreciate you coming through once again. Look out for all his music right now. Are you got some stuff on all platforms? You on Instagram and all that?
Yeah, you know it's weird because I feel like it's kind of unfair on the Spotify's and all that you can't search by producer.
That's very true.
There's all these
is
songs
true.
that I produced that people don't even know I did the songs, right?
Yeah.
But You gotta really know, you know.
You really do.
They need to figure that out.
Yeah,
they've been told that. They know this.
No, all the real ones know where to go to find that shit, anyways, man.
Yeah. So. It's funny you mentioned that. I remember like 2009, 2010. Wikipedia was my shit. I would just see projects get tentatively announced, and I just see who's on here. I see Jake White. I'm like, okay, let's go.
Absolutely. I think they took care of you on Wikipedia. They got a whole.
There was a dude in France that reached out to me. He was like, yo, I do your Wikipedia page. You know?
He did. Whoa,
he went in. Man. If he did that, he did a good job.
I was like, some of these I don't even want on here. I don't like some of these.
Oh shit, yeah, we're gonna edit that shit. Anyways, man, it's been episode number 35, man. We out here, man. It's your boy
Cal Naughty.
It's your boy Miss High Def Henny 100K. We got our man Jake One.
Jake One.
Hell yeah, tapping out.